Ladies and gentlemen, everyone around and in between, this is DebateSensei Limited Prep Edition. We focus on topics relevant to competitive debate, specifically limited preparation events like IPDA and NPDA, but any other limited preparation debate topics. So we go over, a number of topics. I got Matt Shapiro, Esquire.
Hello, everybody. Hello,
Hello.
Jared.
Tim Seavey is at a Pokemon convention appealing his rejected Pokemon submission. So, all right. I'm Jared Kabika Miller. I'm a professor of communications. I'm also a debate coach, former debater myself, and I just like talking about things with various people from various forms of debate. All right.
That's good.
Yeah. So the topic this week is Taylor Swift put Travis Kelce on the map. So we try to go with the different themes on different weeks, and this one is a pop culture theme. I started realizing that these topics are ones that ChatGPT can't help you with because they're too recent. Like ChatGPT doesn't know anything about this.
They're gonna drop ChatGPT 5, and it's gonna cost $10,000. And be like, oh yeah, it's up to date. Go
Yeah.
ahead, use it
So
per
the,
user.
the reason why I wanted to do this topic is because there is a sort of a TikTok phenomenon where usually women are talking to their boyfriends, husbands, sons, and they are filming them as they say, "Hey, isn't it really nice how Taylor Swift put Travis Kelce on the map?" And all these guys are getting indignant about it, and they're like, "What are you talking about?" And so I'm like, "Hey, that's a debate right there."
Well, here we are. The
Yeah.
time has come.
So what we're going to do is we're going to try to unpack this, but basically what we're doing is we're talking about how would you approach a topic like this in a competitive debate, right? Like what sort of strategies, what information would help you in a competitive debate. This might not help you in just a conversation with somebody else, or if they're just playing a joke on you, right? Like, so just that caveat, but it might help if you wanted
Yeah.
to have this conversation. All right.
Well,
Okay.
yeah. We start off. I mean, well, go ahead. You're the professor, right?
No, no, no,
Come
no.
on.
What were you going to say?
Well, it's not every day we get to argue trichotomy or
Hmm.
what type of debate is this, if there is such a thing. And, I can see a lot of very new teams who are familiar with, how to run a policy style
Yeah.
thing going, oh, you know what I'll do is I'll just somehow pull a policy thing out of the air. Somehow this is affecting, the nuclear capabilities in Iran. So I'm going to run my nuclear Iran plan. And that's somehow relevant to Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce. I
Yeah.
would argue I would argue, as a student of the former, a former student of Professor Jared Kubica Miller, this is ripe for visiting those other forms, styles, tricot styles of debate
Mhm.
that exist. I believe they're the fact and the value debates. Okay, they're rare. They're more rare. I mean, some people who watch this have never even done something like that. But I think what it initially always made me feel, especially as like a new debater, is this is different than policy style.
Yeah.
So I don't know what to do. So I'm not even
Okay.
I'm not even gonna do that because I'd rather just stick to what I know and put square pegs in round holes. Jared, what would you do when posed with this resolution?
Listen, I appreciate people who just want to have policy debates, and I could participate in that. But I think that there are plenty of uh, uh, plenty of other types of they
Fish in
take
the
different
sea.
forms. I would think that this one would be in the category of the fact debate category,
It's
right?
stated as such, in my opinion, as well.
Right. Like, so I make a distinction. Like, I still think the fact value policy trichotomy, as people call it, I think it's useful, right? Like, I know people criticize that it's meaningless, that the distinctions fall apart when you start looking at them with any sort of time or critical lens. And I do appreciate that, but at the same time, I still think it's really useful to have these distinctions, like broad distinctions, because
Yeah.
it does help you to know what arguments you can go for, and there's different ways to organize these arguments, and different burdens that you have to have. And there's, I don't know. I think like the really simple, straightforward debates that are appealing to a larger public audience are the ones that I.
This is definitely that.
Yeah.
I think fact and policy, or sorry, fact and value. Even the simple term like contention, that's often
Yeah.
used in those styles of debate. Instead of saying one plain text, blah 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 blah. Like when someone who isn't a debate person hears that, it sounds weird. I mean,
Yeah.
say nothing else. Whereas if you go up and say contention one, contention means argument, or it means this is my first point. Essentially, you could say my first point, and you're not wrong. I mean, but contention is typically the word they use, the fancy word, the jargony word.
Yeah.
That word literally would apply to a debater, a judge, or a layperson on the street. They still know what you're talking about.
I do like to talk about certain distinctions I make of fact resolutions. There are, and remember, this is all when we're talking about fact value policy. Yeah. What I mean is that when you look at a single resolution, what are some very, very basic burdens that you can extrapolate from the resolution and the resolution alone? And it's not a lot, you know what I mean? But
right.
there are some things that you can do, like on a policy topic. Yeah. Like one burden is to have a planned text, right? An actual policy that you're putting forward, right. and then the advantages come with specific burdens as well. Okay, but for a fact round, there's a couple of distinctions that I think are within those. Which are categorical claims and conjecture claims. Both of them, I think, qualify as fact resolutions. All right. So categorical claims is how we define things and identify things, whereas conjecture claims are predictions about what's going to happen. The only thing that I think is similar between the two is that there's no investment that these predictions or categories are good or beneficial, right? You can still say it's like, yeah, this is this is an unfortunate fact, but it is still a fact. You know what I mean? It's like, whereas in a value round, you have to take a stand about what is like good or better, or some sort of value, obviously.
No, that's a good point. I never even thought about it like that. I mean, yeah, basically, I think what you're saying is, in other words, fact allows you to kind of play around more with morality itself, meaning you don't, whether something is true or not, doesn't mean it has to be good. It doesn't mean it has to help the world. You could say, it almost reminds me of like a de-development type argument where it's like, yeah, this is bad, everything's going to be worse, and it's a fact. Like, whereas value, I guess, no one, you're hoping at least, no judge is going to, the very term value is something that we kind of hold to mean something that holds people up in esteem, or it's good for the betterment of all. Oftentimes in value, or policy even, like if it's good for everyone, then it's objectively good. We should value that anyways. Go ahead, Jared.
So like the trichotomy, I know we've talked about it enough, but the fact
not
is,
in a long time. It's been like a year since I've said the word trichotomy.
But I think this one would best fit under like a categorical fact sort of framework. All right, whereas like whether or not this thing constitutes a category, but even then, it's like what you're saying. You could be saying this is a good category. This is a useful category,
and that's what tricot is. Before we like, if for anyone who hasn't heard that word, it's old now. People don't talk even really discuss this. They'll agree basically on fact or value half the time anyway. But tricot is like the argument to say this is a value round, and that's why they should lose. Because if I wanted to take that ground, I wouldn't take that ground in this one if I'm the neg. But I would have that option, and we used to call it tricot. So go ahead.
So okay, so I would do the categorical claim, and this one is, what does it mean to put anything on a map? And did Taylor do that for Kelce? Right? It's like, I think those are two questions. What does that mean to put something on a map? And then you sort of apply that. And so notice how you have to, like,
We
You
need
have
to
to kind
define
of,
it. Okay.
yeah, you have to define.
Tricot does come first before definitions, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah,
now we have arrived at some
yeah.
definitions, which is kind of what we're supposed to do because you're a debate coach. Go ahead,
Yeah,
Gary.
but like in a fact round, what you're also defining is the criteria by which you're going to um, judge these things. Like, when does it meet the criteria of a category, right? And so you have to get, that's what you have to do in the definitions. You have to identify that, and it's hard because people don't have practice doing it. And then you have to apply it to this specific situation. So identifying what it means. Some people might want to like talk about what does putting him on the map mean.
Let's since we're having a free flowing debate, this isn't
Yeah.
quite structured as a 5-minute constructive, whatever you may have. Let's just start with what I agree. First of all, we should collect those words and says put him on the map and define that phrase. As far as common usage is probably what I would use. Go ahead.
So like I started with a little bit of search into what that term means, where it originated, and it was pretty easy to find. Where is it? And it just means that when something is large enough, when a city grows large enough to justify putting it on a map, that's when it's on a map. So there's a few now you can start unpacking that, and that's a lot of fun. It's like, okay, that doesn't mean that the city didn't exist beforehand.
Okay.
Like, somebody knew it was there, right?
Okay, I get you. I don't like how there's like so much gray there. I think it's a bright line. I would just contextually define it. I wouldn't even go to historical map, origin story. It's like the modern day means, I don't know who Jared Kubica Miller was.
Right.
I barely know him now. But like once I went to his class and once we started hanging out after, and became friends, he was put on the map in my head of people who I care about. So people about, follow doesn't necessarily mean like Instagram follow. It just means like you when you hear news about them, you go, oh, that's what's going on these days. It's very objective. It's very abstract. Excuse me. It's not a good definition. It's probably not as good as the map historical example, but I'd like to believe it's kind of like, for someone to be on the map, they have to know about you.
Yeah.
So when did everyone figure out who Travis Kelce was? And was it because of Taylor Swift?
Okay. And so that sounds like that would favor probably the negative more if it was.
I'm the neg, so that's smart.
All right, we can do this.
You just. I'm like Travis Kelce. No. I'm ready. Let's go.
All right. So if it's just that it's approaching a critical size in order to warrant it being represented on a map, and so
just like the methane in our atmosphere.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So and we know who I hope that like Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce aren't up for debate necessarily. I'm gonna say that she made him into a celebrity of a magnitude that is large enough to, you know what I mean?
Right. No. That's where your map story. Like if the rule was, in order to be on the map, you need 1 million people to be in your city. Okay. Now you could probably make that like 50 million people to be on the map. Yeah, now on the app, that's very strong for you because now I'm supposed to just play in this land of like, well, I don't know if it's 50 million, but
what that does, even as I'm saying this, is the criteria starts coming to me, right? And so
nice.
I like I like this one because it's like I'm gonna give you 3 maps, and if I convince you that Taylor Swift put Travis Kelce on any one of these maps, then I win. And so now I have what that means is if I give you 3 maps, I could win any of them. I could lose 2 and win 1, and I win the debate.
I love how we have yet to talk about Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce. Yeah. We are 15 minutes in. See that? All right.
No, okay. So, but now we're going to do it, right? So
we're going to do it.
For example, I would say that Taylor Swift put Travis Kelce on the world map, right? And so, and then he's on she put him on the podcast map. And and then I don't know, I'll come up with, and then I'll even go NFL. Boom. I'll even say NFL. I'll even go hard for that
You are
one.
digging yourself a grave, my
No,
friend.
but notice what I'm doing is I'm going to try to coax people into this NFL argument so they go ape shit over it.
What?
And then just cut it.
We just got fined $15,000 by the FCC right now.
Yeah.
You know that?
So, yeah, like I would do that. You know, like make. And the thing is, you want to put the NFL argument in there because now you are continuing the prank, right? Because the whole origin of this prank is just to make people
dog on Travis Kelce.
Yeah, it's to like make them think that Travis Kelce was already a celebrity.
Like I think you know what's funny? I mean, this is now transcending the debate itself. But like, Jared, how much football do you watch?
I haven't watched in a long time. I'll be honest with you.
No, and that's fine. Look, I'm not. This isn't a judgment.
I followed the Rams are doing bad this year. You know what I mean? So,
okay. Yeah. Like I have no allegiance to no team, but yeah. I definitely enjoy watching NFL games when I have the ability to watch them. And so, I guess what I'm saying is, do you have anything else you want to say regarding the criteria? I think my criteria would be, I would keep it small. If I'm on the neg, I'm just trying to say like, hey, look, no one knows who Jared is. Okay. No one knows who Jared is. But a lot of people knew about Travis Kelce before he ever met Taylor Swift. Mm-hmm. So, you know, but is it the number of, you know, Jared, as far as internationally goes, man, that's your strongest point, dude, because I have a few things I could make in retort to that, but I think for sure that's probably your strongest. As far as saying NFL, if that's the map you want to play on, no way. No, you just walked into a Wolverine cage with that one. But go ahead.
Yeah, what I'm guessing, though, is that you're going to spend so much time on that you're going to neglect the world map. And I'm going to.
So you'd have three contentions. You're saying, I mean, let's really iron this out. You kind of set up your framework. You set up the criteria. We set up the definitions. We're past the tricot. That's the very first thing. Now you're saying I have three main contentions: the world stage. What was the second one? I'm so sorry. Podcasting, and then the NFL, and in those worlds, how he's made it. So do you have any arguments, or is it just pure claim?
I do. But I did want to kind of point out the strategy is kind of a messed up one, where I'm trying to like coax you in.
I see. I understand what you're saying.
You know what I mean?
And you know what's funny? This is one of those things. This is really subjective, and I could totally be wrong. I would definitely try to spend the amount of time he spent on each one. I think that's what I would. I just on a strategic level of where would I put my time? Because there is something to be said where if someone gets in and gets out of something in a minute, and I don't mean it like that, you sick people out there. If you go up and speak on it for 5 minutes, you've given credence to that. Okay, in my mind, just the mere time allocation, whatever you say, it sounds like it's weakness in a lot of ways. It can be at least weakness because it sounds like you're really worried about this one. So one way I would judge how much time I would actually try to spend on anything, if you have no idea what to do, just try to model them. And if they ever come back and say, hey, they didn't say very much, be like, hey, they didn't say very much. And that's why I didn't even acknowledge it. All right. I'm not going to spend 5 minutes on something you talked about for a minute. But if it obviously too, that's kind of variable in certain ways. If there's very strong, his world argument is going to be very strong. So if he only talks about that for a minute, maybe I do dedicate a little extra time. But if you can, what he's literally talking about, and we're having this conversation as opponents within a podcast, but don't let a competitor bait you into something. Because very often that's what exactly they're trying to do. They're trying to make you go, "Oh, what the heck are you talking about?"
But it works so well with the prank
because people will forget altogether about other stuff.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
Drops, as Tim would say, extend all my arguments, please.
Yeah, it's so great. It's so great. I think it works. All right, so the world one is kind of easy. I would lead with it, like you said. It's the best one. It's the one I'm looking to win on, right? And this goes into how many people are searching for him on Google, his followership on social media, I don't know. Like I might be able to find a few more things if I, if I was able to focus on my research on that one. But those would be the easy
Yeah.
ones for the world, right? The
Well,
podcast.
hold on. Before we move
Yeah.
forward, I got something to say. Okay, I'm not like, and it's not even against you. It's just
Yeah.
saying, there's some context here, which for anyone who doesn't like know anything about sports or anything like that, Travis Kelce. We didn't define this. We probably should have defined this. Travis Kelce is a American football tight end, which is a person who's kind of on the line, like an offensive lineman, but he goes out for a lot of passes. And the NFL in general is very much American only. I don't mean to say it is exclusive to a group. I just mean it's not a world sport like, say, soccer or football or even like, I don't know, hockey. Like Russia is very good at hockey. Canada is very good at hockey. America's are pretty good at hockey. Lots of sports are worldwide. Tennis, F1 racing, all these things are like all over the globe. People know these athletes. American football is not like that necessarily. So while I'm talking on Jared's behalf, or maybe just defining it for both of us, the inference of what he's saying is the fact that he plays American football means that no one knows who he is in Spain. No one knows who he is in France or Brazil or any country in China. No one knows him because they don't watch American football for various reasons. Where Taylor Swift is a music superstar since for like 20 years of her life now, and she's only like 35 or whatever the heck she is. So we are assuming, I'm sure Jared has some statistics, but she's a worldwide superstar. People are singing Bad Blood in 200 countries of the world every day, so her on the map, you're taking it all back to that, would be people just know her name across the world. No one knows Travis Kelce's name.
Right. I mean, like her Eras tour is like back in August. They were
at least no one knew it before they were dating, and more people know it now because they're dating.
The Eras tour is projected to, or was in August, was projected to make like 2.2 billion, 2.2 billion.
Yeah.
Right. And
it was $1 billion in a day. I mean, that's the other stat I heard. It was like they released all the tickets at once, $1 billion, like that day.
The next biggest concert tour was Elton John's farewell tour, and that was like under 900 million, which is great. That was less than
half.
Yeah. And so like to more than double it is like really good indication about the global pull. Right. And so and you just highlight how like these were very different celebrities.
There's a lot of comparisons, like she plays in stadiums.
Yeah.
Across the world.
Funny. That's such a great argument.
And he plays in a stadium, and he's got 22 other guys at least who are also there, who also bring fans. Yeah. But I mean, there's a comparison there. I think it's fair. So what's on the map for these two? Who fills the most stadiums in the most countries? Taylor Swift. Period. Done.
Yeah. And like the metaphor is so good. The metaphor, because like he's on the world map. It's like, he might be on the U.S. map, but that doesn't mean he's on the world map. And so when I say they put it on the map, that's the map I'm talking about. Like not all maps have all the same information. And so if I say that he's put on the map, I just need to show one where he does it. And now, boom, done.
By far your strongest.
Yeah.
What I would say, my neg argument really quickly, we have to like race through the next two. We did it. We talked about these people for 30 minutes. On the neg, I would say, as far as global stuff, I would say as far as worldwide, recently, in the last 10 years, the NFL has been playing more and more games in Europe. It started off with one game a year in the UK. It has now grown to like 3 or 4 games in the UK, and I want to say 2 or 3 or maybe more games in Germany. So it's still going to lose. But I would say Travis Kelce was on the map on the global stage, and assuming the globe, and then define the globe to only mean those 3 countries.
Yeah.
But all right. Taylor Swift didn't put him there. Next podcast. Look, I'm going to start on the neg. I'm going to start on the neg. Travis Kelce had his podcast before he started dating Taylor Swift and was ranked Apple's #1 sports podcast before he started dating Taylor Swift. So do you have a response?
Yeah, what was it?
Viewership grew by 10,000%.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as news hit that he was dating, like
Yeah.
that's when the podcast jumped up. It I think more than doubled. It was just a ridiculous.
Well, then it went from number one to number one with twice as many ratings because
Yeah,
they were really
like
high.
you're talking about some subcategory, right? You know what I mean? And
Sports.
so like to be like the phenomenon that it is, just like it's the same sort of analogy between a national and a global ranking, right?
Yep.
And so like he went from a subcategory ranking to an overall ranking. So now he's
Yep.
on that map, right? And so the metaphor would still apply to that one.
Well, Jared is a master debater, so he's definitely not going to accept anything I say as proof that he lost. Let's move on to the last one because I like the last one the best. I think this is the one that the neg is the most ground. Okay.
Oh man.
So go ahead, Jared, and tell me how Travis Kelce was put on the map in the NFL because of Taylor Swift. I cannot wait to hear this.
I'm just gonna. I don't know much, but so that's why I referenced an American sports writer named Adam Schefter in one of his tweets, in which he said that Taylor Swift put Travis Kelce on the map this weekend. Travis Kelce gained 860,000 Instagram followers in one day. The next largest gain was his brother, Jason Kelce, who got 137,000 followers. That's one, right? So first off, even sports writers are saying that. But also, secondly, when he suffered a near injury in one of his recent games, Swifties coalesced and they started a movement to replace AstroTurf with real turf.
No way.
Yes.
No way. In the NFL, the players have been complaining for a long time that in the Premier Leagues and stuff like that, in soccer, football leagues in Europe and all over the world, it's only grass. They only let the athletes are like, there's no question, it's only grass. But in the NFL in the United States, a bunch of stadiums are like astroturfed, and there's all these. I'm not gonna say there's a bunch of studies because I don't know the exact science, but a lot of players, the majority, if not all of the players, will look at you and say, more people get hurt on turf. I feel more hurt on turf after every game. And if I had it my way, every field would be grass, not turf. So AstroTurf versus grass. Continue, Jared.
Yeah. So like my argument's going to be, so this turns a little into conjecture now. I'm like,
okay,
this movement
it's NFL related.
Yeah. I think that this movement, like, they might be able to get this successful. The NFL hasn't shown anything, but I'm going to make the argument that, like, if this movement is successful to replace real turf, that would put Travis Kelce in the stratosphere of NFL history. Not just one of the greatest tight ends in history, but somebody who made fundamental radical change to the game.
Okay. Look, I'm gonna say good luck, Swifties.
Yeah.
First of all, that's what I'm gonna say. Second of all, I'm gonna say this. You'd have to be. This is where, having a few interests in sports and also being a debater helps. I've had a couple rounds with this. Jared and I he's coached me before in a round where, it was kind of like an out round, I want to say, or something like that. And I was like excited because he basically was like, I don't know nothing about this stuff. You go ahead and do it. And if you know about the NFL, then you know that Travis Kelce, who plays football, American football, had won, I want to say 2 or 3 Super Bowls before meeting Taylor Swift, and he could very well win another 2 or 3 Super Bowls at the rate him and his buddy Patty Mahomes, who's the biggest star in the NFL right now, who plays quarterback. Him and the biggest quarterback in the league, his favorite target is Travis Kelce, and it's because he's really good at football. And so I would argue that there's absolutely no ground Jared even has to stand on, although he slipped some out by going this backdoor Swiftie to the AstroTurf grass thing, which is such a big problem to some players. Like it is this controversy. So if a bunch of Swifties pooled $2 billion and fixed all the NFL fields, that would literally, I will concede, but I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think that's going to happen. And I think it's a weak argument just because Travis Kelce, he's cute, he's funny, he wears nice clothes, but underneath all that, I mean, he was put on the map playing football at a very high level and winning Super Bowls, and that's how I knew his name before. On the football map, he is like the Atlanta airport for Delta. Everything is going through him because everyone wants to beat him. So I don't know. I think that's the strongest neg argument. Although it's a really good point, Jared, of being pretty crafty, debatey.
Yeah.
Not heading straight into finding the one thing that Taylor Swift apparently did do for Travis Kelce as far as the NFL goes, and hanging your hat on that, not even acknowledging what I'm saying. Yeah.
It would be kind of fun. It'd be fun to debate those ones.
And
out.
Taylor Swift is good. Okay, what's your favorite Taylor Swift song, by the way?
My favorite one.
Do you have one? Do you even know who that is?
Yeah. Well, I'm kind of sentimental about.
You have young teenage daughters. You have to know a bunch of Taylor Swift songs.
Yeah. Like I'm partial to 15 because it's my daughter's song.
That's right. Okay.
Yeah. So.
Oh man, I think I'm gonna go straight freaky Taylor Swift and say, oh man, it's that. Remember that? Do you know that one album that's like weird? It's like not country, it's not rock, it's like electronic music.
I don't know the albums by name, but I mean it's kind of early.
Let the games begin. Oh man, I forget what it's called.
I mean, I got okay. If I was on the neg,
I'm gonna use my browser while you talk. Hold on a second.
Yeah, if I was on the neg, I think, and somebody did this to me, right? It's like I think that the best strategy is to say is like, okay, I'd go with the map analogy and like, yeah, but small cities are put on maps too. And
are you ready for it? That's the song.
Yeah.
Ready for it. That's my favorite Taylor Swift song.
Are you ready for it? Okay.
Oh yeah.
You said like even small cities are put on the map, and he like in comparison.
I put the small Taylor Swift song on the map.
I'd say that'd be one. It's like, yeah, he was on the map. He's just a small city compared to Taylor, and now he's a larger city. So
see, you're wrong because it says on the map. So period, you're wrong.
But I think if somebody hit me with all this stuff that I was doing,
yeah, no, that's. I would look the NFL one is the best one because I think you have some really good ground. I think I have some really good ground. World stage, period. You're right. I mean, that's the truth. And then podcast, that's a fairly debatable one too because although they did double, they literally were like huge. So it's like Jeff Bezos getting $20 bajillion versus 10 bajillion. You're like, okay, I can't like see that with my eyes. He's a star. He's on top of the world. How much? So I would argue that.
Yeah,
the podcast one is
more
kind
research on that one, but I think there's an additional negative argument.
Oh, let's hear.
You're talking about the celebrities of this scale. That's kind of an elitist way of looking at what it means to be on the map, right? It's like if it's only like the top 10 global celebrities are on the map, and then everyone else is nothing. It's like you're really like buying into this like celebrity culture, and then it like that sort of runaway.
Well, on the app, that's good for you because you want them to be the biggest star to qualify.
Yeah, like, this would be a criticism on the negative about how the affirmative is framing it. It's kind of like,
elitist.
Well, we're going to like determine whether or not somebody's on the map by whether or not like they're the top 10 celebrities, rather than whether or not they
Instagram followers.
Yeah, whether or not they've achieved something
meaningful,
significant on their own, right? And then I think you get to reinforce the negative thesis about how it's not whether or not they're in the top 10, it's whether or not they sort of meet a minimum threshold. And he definitely has, unless
you're talking about world stage, unless you're talking about fame in Bangladesh, and then he probably is not. All right, look, I've enjoyed this conversation. I think we have wrung this loincloth, jock dry. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's nothing left.
All right. Join us in the future. We'll talk about more debate related stuff. All right. It's Matt and Jared. See you later.
Take care.